Bonjour, welcome to this exciting video, and in this video we are going to talk about the correct way we should say sentences in French, and you should stop saying this in French when using different phrases. So the correct version of saying sentences and the wrong ways of saying different sentences in French. The first one, mixing tu and vous. We know that tu is only used in an informal setup. When you're addressing your peers, you're addressing your friends, you're addressing your brothers and sisters, you're going to use tu. But vous is used in a formal situation. When you're talking to your boss, you're talking to older people, you're talking to more than one person, multiple people, you're going to use tu, you're going to use vous and not tu. Okay. The second mistake that people make is mixing lo et la. We know that all nouns in French have gender. They are either masculine or feminine. Therefore, you need to know the gender of the noun that you're talking about. So, for example, when you say la problème is very wrong, because the correct way to say is le problème, because problème is masculine. Okay, so now when learning nouns, you need to learn them with their articles like une maison and livre, and you can never say un maison, and you can never say une livre. That will be very wrong. The third mistake that people make is confusing between être and avoir. Mistake when you say, for example, in English, I know we say, I am 10 years old, I am 20 years old, but you can never translate this directly to French, because in French you use the verb avoir, which means to have when talking about age. So you say, for example, j'ai 20 ans, and you can never say je suis 20 ans. The fourth mistake we make is incorrect agreement with reflexive verbs in passé composé. First mistake that you make, for example, if I say elle s'est lavé les mains, elle s'est lavé les mains, se laver les mains as a verb is followed by a direct object, which is les mains. So there should be no agreement, but so we should not add an e, because this is followed by a direct object. Okay, but if you say elle s'est lavée, meaning that she washed herself, therefore we're going to add an e so that it agrees with the subject elle. Now, the fifth mistake that people make is when using the negation ne pas. Okay, so for example, je sais pas is commonly used in a spoken situation, in spoken French, and it is not formal. The formal way of saying it or writing it is going to be je ne sais pas. Okay, but when you're speaking, say je ne sais pas, je sais pas. Okay. The sixth mistake that we make is when you're using c'est and il est. C'est means it is, and il est, he is, and vice versa. For example, you can never say c'est intelligent, because c'est cannot be followed by an adjective, because c'est is followed by a noun. C'est un professeur, c'est un livre, c'est un sac. That's correct. And we also use il est plus adjective when you're talking about profession. When you're using adjectives, we are going to use il est. We're going to use the verb être. Il est intelligent, il est professeur, and we can never say c'est intelligent. The next mistake that people make is misplacing adjectives. So some adjectives come before the noun and some adjectives come after the noun. For example, une voiture rouge, une rouge belle, une voiture rouge belle. It doesn't make sense. So the right way of saying is une belle voiture rouge. So most adjectives come after the noun, but some adjectives tend to come before the noun, like beau, bon, petit, grand, and so forth. The eighth mistake that people make is forgetting preposition after certain verbs. So we know some verbs are followed by a or de. Example, we have penser à, parler de, s'occuper de, among others. A mistake you can make is when you say je pense elle. It doesn't make sense. The right way of saying it is je pense à elle. I'm thinking of her. I'm thinking about her. Using the verb savoir and connaître incorrectly. Savoir means to know a fact or how to do something. Connaître, to be familiar with a person or place. For example, José Marie can never work because that's a person. Therefore, we should use the verb connaître. So you're going to say, Je connais Marie. I know Mary. Je connais comment nager. I know how to swim. Doesn't make sense because it is a skill or you know how to do something. You're going to say, Je sais nager. The last way, the 10th way in this video of making a mistake in French is incorrect plural singular agreement. For example, we have les enfants jouent. Our sujet is les enfants, which should be in plural. Therefore, we should add an S after enfant, and the verb jouer should be conjugated in the third person plural. So it should be les enfants jouent, and therefore it should end in ENT. Merci beaucoup et au revoir.